Hey guys, Philip again. This time I decided to record my first video in English. I hope that it's gonna be fine. So in this episode I would like to tell you a little bit about my new upgraded studio, how the renovation went, why I did it. I will tell you more about the equipment and the panels. Maybe it's gonna give you some inspiration to change your workflow or your studio, upgrade some things you have already but you missed something. So let's start. I need to start with the reason why I decided to upgrade the studio. I just wanted to make a change to maybe take care about better acoustic treatment. And one of my neighbors built new absorbers back then, and I was like, if he built really huge and really thick absorbers, maybe it's gonna also help in my case, because the room size is really small. It's only 16 square meters. It's really hard to control sound here. So you need to have a really proper acoustic panels. Use SonarWorks or any other DSP software to at least have a proper sound in your sweet spot. Of course, you have a lot of speakers on the market. There's like a lot of different options, but I decided to just build new absorbers, change my speakers, buy SonarWorks, and the plan worked really well. Okay, so I started with just selling the panels I had before, which I made like a year ago. I sold them to my neighbors. Everything started with one piece of paper. So basically I just made a simple project, talked with a few of my friends about it, planned it, where I should mount what. Small room means that you haven't got so many options. I built huge panels for the top, for the sides, and on the back. Panels on the sides are like 2 meter by 150 and 20 centimeters thick. The one on the ceiling are 30 centimeters thick, and on the back we have 40 centimeters of absorption. And basically I used just a regular wool made by Rockwool, because density of that model, which was Sonorock, was proper. So when I had everything what was necessary, I started to build them by myself. My neighbors from other studios helped me to mount them, and after like a week or something like that, I bought rounded bass traps, corner bass traps made by Addictive Sound from Poland. So if you would search for some nice corner absorption, they look really nice, they work really well, and the price of them was quite fair, so I totally recommend them. I bought a new desk with the place for rack devices. I haven't got like so many of them, but I just wanted to have there my interface, my ADAT, my computer, and also the pieces of the desk which are like angled a little bit. It's like a perfect place for your machines because it's just easier to reach them. That's why I like it. But after the desk was ready and I turned on my speakers, I started to hear really annoying ringing noise. And then I thought like, whoa, the desk was maybe too cheap, or it's from metal or like other aluminum. You shouldn't buy it. Maybe I should send it back or just replace it with a wooden one. And then I found a solution. I filled up the metal parts of it with sand. It really worked well. It's totally stable, doesn't ring. It works as I want it. I wanted to modify a little bit my stand with the synthesizer. I just took the saw for metal and I cut it. I know. Maybe some of you gonna say that it's not allowed, or I shouldn't do it, or it's just a waste. It helps me to save a little bit of space. As you can see behind it, I got a place to keep my food, to keep my other things like accessories. And also on the top of it, I built a jamming station. That jamming station is made for practicing my first live act. At the moment I am just trying to collect my last tracks, modify them a little bit to be able to perform them on stage. So I built everything there and I hope that it's gonna work well. It's the time for a real deal. As you can see, I haven't got a lot of synthesizers. If we would compare the same side of my studio from 2020, from 2021, it looked totally different. I had more than 10 machines. When you have too many of synths, drum machines, stuff like that, you start to have a problem. Where to start? Which machine should be used? It's just too much. Every single synth I have, so it's like Moog Sub 37, Pro 3 from Dave Smith, Pro 6 from Dave Smith, and Roland D50. They are totally different machines. They have different sound, they have different filters, they have different effects. Or like for example, Moog has no effects. Prophet 6 is amazing for polyphony, for chords, for that warm sound of Dave Smith. When Pro 3 is amazing machine to create really weird sequences or sounds like drones and crazy ambient background. Sub 37 is a beast when we talk about bass lines or arpeggios. It's a killer. And why I kept Roland D50 is that I really like that 90s vibe. It has a lot of sound from my favorite movies, PC games, and basically when I need a kind of retro sounds, I just use Roland D50 instead of trying to recreate it with plugins or like finding ready samples on Splice or other platform. I just know that the 90s are here in that keyboard. This is why I love that synthesizer. It has amazing keys, the pads, strings are totally great. And the last one, but not least, is my DB01 bassline by Erika Synths. I met guys from Erika Synths on last Super Booth. I jammed with that machine a little bit. If you search for cool melodies, 303-ish sequences, just take it. You can even create a random pattern, random sequence, play a little bit with the filters, resonance, the tuning, FM level, like sub oscillator level or LFO, and it sounds amazing. It sounds so fat that for sure it's gonna break through in your mixes easily. It's gonna become a really important machine in your studio setup. Alright, so that would be all about my instruments, and now we can move to my drum machine, which is Torres SP16. SP16 is a sampler and you don't need to even read the manual to use it. Every knob has a function, every pad has a function, no hidden options, extremely difficult shortcuts. You just grab a sample, put it on the pad, then play with the sequencer, done. You have a crazy good beat. And maybe you're gonna say, okay Philip, but why you choose Pioneer sampler if you have Ableton, if you use the same samples in your computer? Yeah, of course, but this sampler has analog filter. It means that analog filter makes the job. It really works perfect and it adds that kind of warm and strong character to each of the samples you're gonna record after. Oh, and I would forget. So I use No Drum 3. It's not a sampler. It has no samples. It has a synthesizer engine inside. It sounds different. It sounds a little bit more organic, I would say, even when it's synthesized. It has also some presets that, jak to się mówi, emulują. And it has also a lot of presets that emulate real instruments. So if you need a kind of a pluck or tom-tom or bells, something like that, it's gonna make the job. It's amazing to synchronize it with your DAW, send the Midi to it. It has that Nord character, and everybody who had Nord in his studio knows what I am saying about. And it has pads, so sometimes I just want to jam. So yeah, I really recommend it, not only for people who play drums, but also for electronic music producers. Now we can move to boring stuff. I will tell you a little bit about my computer and interface. I still work on my beloved Mac Mini i7 3.2 GHz with 16 gigabytes of RAM and SSD drive. I haven't got problem with some like glitches, artifacts. I am also editing videos with that, so I won't switch it till at least 2023, 24, because it's still good. And also I checked benchmarks to compare M1 with that Intel i7, and the difference is like, it's not a lot. My Mac Mini is connected to RME Fireface 802, which is also connected to ADAT Focusrite Octo-Pre MK2. It allows me to have 20 inputs and 8 outputs. That's why every single device in this studio is connected separately. Why? Because when I jam, I would like to have this option to record each device on a single track. When I will like one element from my jam, it's really easy to take it out, modify a little bit, add some effects, or just mix, instead of having a one glued master track, you know? I really like Fireface series. I had 400, 800, UC, UCX. RME has a really stable drivers, and when you use RME sound cards, you also get the DigiCheck analyzers. It's really good to measure your frequencies and check what's going on in the stereo field, what's the loudness level of your track. I use it all the time. It has a proper quality and I really like it. I wouldn't switch it for anything else at the moment. Also, I have on my desk the Icon Platform M controller. It has a nice knob to control the project left and right, to move it. Motorized faders, so every time when you open a new project, it's gonna recall the previous settings. The fader is gonna also change their position. It's really cool gadget, especially when you mix or like you would like to control the automation of the volume with your fingers instead of mouse. It also looks good on your desk. Yeah, I need to mention also about my speakers. So after years of testing Adam Audio, Dynaudio, APS, Focals, Yamahas, JBLs, wow, and few other companies probably, I at last bought the Neumann's KH310. This is my first three-way speaker, and I think that it's totally a game changer for me. If we're gonna take these speakers with SonarWorks and that interface, I think that it's a great combo for every producer. Stability, amazing sound, a lot of details. Because they are three-way, you need to adapt a little bit. Just trust me, if you're gonna invest money in Neumann, it's gonna be always a good choice. I was thinking about a little smaller model like KH120, but I found them on eBay, called the guy and picked them up. Okay guys, so I hope that you enjoyed that video. I did my best. If you liked it, subscribe, leave the thumb up, and feel free to visit me on my social medias here, profiles, and yeah, see you in the next video. Have a great week.